This is a section of the Lurk district in the 1834 Ordnance Survey map of Ireland. This was the first large-scale mapping of an entire country ever undertaken. The area displayed is Audley's town, an area owned by the Audley family for many generations. Clearly visible are several small hamlets which, at their peak, made up a population of around 250 people. Just 20 years later, however, the village had completely disappeared, replaced by 100 acres of woodland. It's as though it was never there at all. Good evening. My name's Edward King Thompson, and welcome to another video. The Lurk Peninsula is derived from the Irish Leith Cathal, or Cathal's half. Cathal was the Prince of Ulaid around 700 AD. Today, one prominent building still stands in the area of Audley's town, the imposing Audley's Castle, built in the 15th century. This three-storey tower house remained Audley's family home until the late 17th century, when the last recorded Audley sold his land off to the Ward family, subsequently the Lords of Bangor. The tower and surrounding tenants of the Audley's town village were absorbed into the Castle Ward estate, which by the 1830s had been landscaped, the tower becoming a scenic focal point at the end of their lake. For a short period of time, it appears the Ward family peacefully cohabited with their new tenants, the villagers of Audley's town. However, in 1837, the third Viscount Bangor passed away, leaving the sprawling estate in the hands of his widowed wife, Harriet Maxwell, or Lady Bangor. It appears that Harriet was unpopular amongst her tenants, with some of them dubbing her the evictor. This gives some indication as to her attitude towards the locals. 4 years after her husband's death, Harriet married Major Savage Nugent, who lived on the Nugent estate on the other side of Strangford Lough. According to National Trust archaeologist Malachi Conway, Major Savage Nugent treated the Castle Ward estate as his domain, and there are suggestions that the family were not pleased with all of his decisions. According to local legend, Nugent disliked the tenants on the estate. In the Castle Ward archives, they are referred to as being very poor, and not the sort of people you'd want as your neighbours. In addition, it's rumoured that Lady Bangor and Nugent wanted to plant new woodland in Audley's town to make their two estates appear as one, the trees covering the narrow channel of water between them. Whatever the true motivation, in 1852, the 197 inhabitants were put on a boat called the Rose, which was supposedly destined for Boston. As soon as they had vacated their homes, the village was demolished. As to what became of the residents of Audley's town, very little is known. There is no record of the ship, nor its inhabitants ever arriving in Boston or at any other US port. There's a possibility that the boat sailed a different course, perhaps landing in Canada or Mexico, but again, no known record exists at this time. Was the boat lost at sea, perhaps in a particularly violent storm? Or, as local legend would have it, did they befall a more sinister fate? Several rumours suggest that the families were deliberately thrown overboard when the ship was safely out of sight. Whatever the case, it's clear that Lady Bangor and Major Savage Nugent had no intention of preserving the memory of Audley's town. Out of sight, out of mind. Many of the stones from the village were repurposed to build a wall around the Castle Ward estate, and today there are scarcely any physical remains left from the settlement, besides a few overgrown ruins poking out of the undergrowth. However, there is still a persisting folk memory of Audley's town from the neighbouring village of Strangford. A local man in his 70s recalled his grandmother telling him that the villagers baked wheaten and soda bread for the 25 families to take with them on their voyage. To this day, what became of the residents of Audley's town is still being investigated. A rent book from Castle Ward, owned by the Ulster American Folk Museum, reveals the surnames of most of the families. An old blog article I found online encourages people with any ancestral ties to Audley's town to reach out, in the hopes of finally putting the mystery to bed. There are just so many unknowns about the nature of this event. Depending on the bias of the storyteller, the owners of Castle Ward are either noble and kindly people who gave their tenants a better life in America, or merciless psychopaths who had the villagers murdered in order to have a prettier garden. As with all stories which require approximations to complete the picture, the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Regardless, I think this mysterious tale highlights the importance of preserving and revisiting lesser-known historical events. The people of Audley's town lived lives as full and complex as any one of us, and their existence deserves to be remembered. History cannot truly be erased. It will always have happened, but memory is fragile and malleable, something which is an opportunity for those who wish to manipulate a narrative. Perhaps one day, the descendants of Audley's town, if indeed any are still alive, will be located, bringing the nearly 2-century-long mystery to a close. If you recognise any of these surnames, perhaps it's time to delve into your ancestry. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.